Today we're going to have a quick look at the last week of cricket plus a little bit of the future. Questions have come in that I'm going to answer. India versus New Zealand is the game that we look at first. What is the main reason India lost this test series? Simply, they're behind in the first innings. If you look at the history of test cricket, if you're behind in the first innings, it's a tough assignment to turn things around and create a victory. Over the last 4 years, it's only happened 15% of the time in test cricket. So for me, you're 100 runs or more behind in that first innings, it doesn't look good for you, and India were on both occasions. It's only happened 5 times where a team has actually turned a 100 run or more deficit on the first innings around to win the test match. New Zealand were 222 behind against England 4 years ago in Wellington. England asked them to go back in and bat. They got a lead and won by 1 run. England over in India earlier this year were 190 runs behind in Hyderabad. They managed to turn around and beat India there. So it's a very rare occurrence that this happens, and when you're in the subcontinent and the wicket deteriorates massively on days 3, 4 and 5, it's going to be very difficult to get back into the contest. So you've got to bat well in the first innings. It was tough on in the first test match, but the second test match they should have done a lot better. Been 107 runs behind as they were on a turning wicket where the wicket was deteriorating, they were not going to get back in the contest. How has India's mindset shifted? Well, they came off the Bangladesh series with 2 victories and they've looked at New Zealand. They haven't got Williamson, they haven't got Bolt. There's a couple of other players that aren't there. They're inexperienced. New Zealand haven't won here for 36 years. We should win this series easily. All of a sudden, they are 2-0 down. So for me, they took New Zealand too lightly and they're trying to play catch-up cricket. All of a sudden, you saw that mindset shift with Virat in the second test match in the first innings. He was more aggressive. The way he strolled out there, the way that he was trying to attack the bowling, he just looked like he was overanalyzing. He looked as though he wasn't in control of his emotions, and it showed in the shot that he played when he got out. So for me, taking a team too lightly, getting behind the 8 ball and trying to play catch-up cricket when you are the top-notch team in the contest sometimes can play havoc on the mind, and it has done for India. They've got plenty to play for in the third test match here. What will India do in the third test match to make sure they win it? Simply, they're going to have to bat better in the first innings. They've got to bat for a longer period of time. They can't be bowled out cheaply. I think if you look at the technique of Rohit Sharma to Southee, he's going to have to be a little bit tighter. Virat has to switch on from ball 1. Jaswal Gill, they've been batting superbly. They look as though they've been the most dangerous batsmen so far in this series for India. And then you've got Pant as well. Sarfraz, he's shown signs of skill, but he's got to sum up the conditions. That first innings in the last test match, he charged trying to get over the top rather than trying to hit it along the ground and just play the percentages early on in his innings. He might have to change his way there. The other thing is too, I think they've got to show a little bit more respect to Santner now. Santner is starting to mature, find the right length in these Indian conditions. So they've got to find a way to try and put him off that length. He does bowl that 4 ball. You've got to put it away, and you've got to make sure that you do put it away to put pressure on him, because he has a little bit of vulnerability there. But simply bat longer. That's how, in the first innings, that's how India will win the third test match. Now, there's a lot of worry with India coming down to Australia for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So the fourth question is, how will India make themselves ready for the BGT? Well, they're going to have a couple of weeks before the test series starts down here. I think the loss against New Zealand is actually a good thing, because it's made them think, hang on, we're not quite as good as we think. We should have dominated here, but we haven't. Now we've got work to do to stay in the World Test Championship competition, to stay on top so that we're in that final. So they'll all come down here with a little bit more energy, a little bit more fire, a little bit more heart, and they'll work a lot harder than probably what they would have done beforehand to make sure they are ready for that first test match here in Australia, because they can't afford to lose that first test match. They got to make sure that they are on song from ball one. So this could be a little kick up the backside that India need in preparation for the Australia-India series down here. Now let's just hop over to the England-Pakistan series, and the question is, did Pakistan play really well or England played bad? I think it's a bit of both here. I think Pakistan bowled exceptionally well and they batted well. Shakil was superb. The way that he was able to play the left arm off spinner turning into him, he was getting that front leg outside of off stump, making him bowl a little wider. If he got wrapped on the pads, there was no chance of an LBW, because it's hard for a spinner when the pitch is turning to get it on the straight narrow when the batsman's got such a long stride. But when the right-hander was bowling around the wicket in Bashir, Shakil was willing to sweep off his stumps to try and get Bashir to bowl shorter, and when he did, he punished him there as well. So he's more attacking against the right-hand spinner who was attacking the stumps, more so than the left arm off spinner who was bowling outside the off stump. He was a little bit more defensive there. So those little intricacies played a big part in Pakistan winning. I thought that the Pakistan bowlers varied the pace better in the spin department than the England bowlers, and that's why they were able to get more wickets at a cheaper price than England. So England were just outplayed, but also the aggressiveness of England as well. Yes, it's all right to play this baseball type cricket, but when you're going down the wicket and you're actually slogging and not playing a cricketing shot, you are going to pay the price. Smith, who batted superbly in the first innings, had a lot of chances though. He was taking on those deep men and he got dropped a couple of times, so he had a lot of luck there as well. So for me, England's over-aggression, playing shots when they weren't in position to play those aggressive shots, was their big downfall. What was the mindset behind Pakistan's win? Well, simply they realised that they don't have the fast bowling depth because of injury to beat England on the pitches that have been produced in Pakistan over the last couple of years. There's not much in them for the pace bowlers. Pakistan have got some quality pacers, mind you. So they've decided we'll test England against spin, and we'll try and back our spinners who are more experienced in our conditions against the England spinners. It played into Pakistan's hands. They did well. They had to bat second in that second test match, knowing that they had to get in front, get a lead on England to put the pressure on. They did that. They played it superbly, and they executed their game plan to a T. England on that first day had to bat bigger than what they did. Too many cheap wickets, as I said before, too many slogs rather than cricketing shots going over the top, trying to find the boundaries, cost England dearly. Bangladesh versus South Africa. Bangladesh had a spinning wicket. There was a little bit in there for the quicks on the first day as well, but when you lose 14 wickets to quicks on a spinning track and you've only gone in with one quick yourself, that shows that Bangladesh batting is brittle and they didn't apply themselves. The conditions were in Bangladesh's favour. They didn't execute well. The spinners didn't bowl as well as they could, and it was a wonderful innings from Varian and Mulder in the first innings of South Africa that took the game away from Bangladesh. The way that those two applied themselves was exceptional. And that's what you've got to do over there in subcontinent conditions when there's a lot of spin around. You've got to apply yourself. You've got to have a game plan, and the game plan for Varian was, when it's short, I'm going to cut, I'm going to pull. If it's full, I'm going to play a little aggressively there. But you've got to be prepared to be beaten on the outside edge, but not prepared to be beaten on the inside edge where there's those LBW chances. And that's where Mulder and Varian batted extremely well in that first innings, taking the game away from Bangladesh. Rabada getting 9 wickets, Mulder 4 wickets for the game is quite exceptional on a spin-friendly wicket. So well done to South Africa beating Bangladesh, and they're a chance of creeping into that World Test Championship final. Guys, I'm just chuffing off to Hong Kong at the end of this week, and I'm over there commentating the Hong Kong Sixers. Now, what a wonderful tournament this is. 6 aside. Each team has 5 overs to bat. If you lose 4 wickets, or if you lose 5 wickets, the 6th batsman can still bat, but has a runner out the other end. He has to face every ball for the remainder of the innings. You've got to retire after making 31, but you can come back in once all your wickets are lost. I think it's going to be great. It's good for Hong Kong cricket, and it's a good little concept as well. Games last around about 45 minutes, no longer. Short, sharp, quick, in and out. I'm looking forward to it. I'll keep you updated while I'm over there in Hong Kong. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Get your comments downstairs, whether you agree with me or not, with all the questions. I want to hear your point of view. Thanks, guys.